Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. This is Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And we talked about them before. Here's the actual article. Midwest teachers host an online event discussing the best ways to trans a child without alerting a parent. These people believe they own your children. They are coming for all of them. It's up to us to stop them, right? We talked about how in Canada, Muslims are now starting to stand up and say, we're not allowing you guys to teach our children this type of gender ideology in schools, right? That goes against our faith. We're speaking up, we're pushing back, right? You're also seeing in California the whole situation that started with Nick Merckx and all this other craziness was simply a bunch of parents going to their school board saying, hey, our school is, we can visibly see that our school's SAT standardized testing scores are going down. Our children are suffering in certain sections of, academic achievement, right? Instead, you guys are forcing our children to take part in these weird pride parades and all this other LGBT nonsense that we don't believe in, right? You're supposed to be teaching our children how to properly do math, read, comprehension, all this other crap, not a bunch of weirdo ideology that we don't agree on. Okay. But leftists openly believe straight up that, yes, they are allowed to take your children away from you. Yes, they are allowed to teach your children whatever they want to because we're going to find out in a second, but they feel like they are morally superior to you, okay? That they are, with 100% in their right as a morally superior person to teach your kids and enlighten your children on the wows of gender ideology, right? The trans school conspiracy exposed. Midwest teachers trade tips on subversively and quietly transitioning kids without telling their parents and skirting Republican gender laws in workshop funded by the federal government. Dozens of Midwestern teachers met online. Excuse me. Dozens of Midwestern teachers met online this week and traded tips on helping trans students change gender at school without their parents' knowledge, while criticizing a raft of new Republican laws on sex and identity. DailyMail.com gained access to an online session hosted by the Midwest and Plains Equity Assistance Center, also known as MAP. We all know what people who identify as a MAP is and how they should not be anywhere near children, right? Strangely enough, they identify as MAP, which is funded by the Department of Education, attended by some 30 teachers from Michigan, Iowa, Ohio, Illinois, and beyond. In the 4-hour workshop, they discussed helping trans students in the face of a new laws in Republican-run states on gender pronouns, names, parents' rights, bathroom access, and sports teams. Some teachers said they followed the rules, but others discussed being subversive, how their personal code of ethics trumped laws, and how to hide a trans student's new name and gender from their parents. Okay. These people 100% believe that they have every right to take your children, teach them whatever they want, and then hide that knowledge from you, right? The expose comes amid growing tensions between traditional parents who worry about newfangled gender ideas in schools and some progressive teachers who say they need to protect trans students from their own families, right? And we've been told this before, right? These people have constantly been exposed over and over about their true feelings behind this, right? Michael Belair from principal counsel from PBS, he was fired from getting caught saying this crap, right? This was from Project Veritas back in 2021, right? Michael Blair goes on to say, hey, Dale, Trump supporters, be raising a generation of intolerant, horrible, horrible kids. We go for all the Republican voters, and Homeland Security will take their children away and put them into re-education camps, right? Right? That's the true feelings of a lot of these radical progressives, right? They straight up 100% believe that, they're not saying that you're a World War II evil baddie for no reason, right? They 100% believe that, hey, you guys are evil, so therefore, whatever we do to your children, right, taking your children away from you, blocking you guys up, sending your kids to re-education camp, or just simply, going behind your backs and teaching your kids all this weird crap without your not and encouraging not to tell you what they're being taught, they 100% believe that they are justified and they are the good guys. Okay, straight up. MSNBC. We covered this article before, I believe, last year. Parents and media critics were aghast after a host for MSNBC called for a collective care of a community's children instead of parents taking care of their kids themselves. Right. NBC host Melissa Harris Perry recorded a commercial for the network in which she stated that children do not belong to their parents, but are instead the responsibility of members of their community, right? Using new age communist speak, we have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children, right? Your kids is totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children, right? She says in a spot for the network's Lean Forward campaign. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to the whole community. Okay? Abolish the right. What does communists like to say? We need to get rid of the idea of privately owned property in favor of a community based owned shared whatever. Yeah, that also goes to your kids. Your kids are not your own. Just because you birthed them, just because you fed them, just because you gave them a name, that doesn't mean that they're yours, right? They don't belong to you because we don't believe in the private ownership of children, right? We need to believe in the collective ownership of your children, right? Ridiculous. Okay? They want you to believe that they are justified in every right to do whatever they want with your children, right? Teach your children whatever. But if you're a Republican, right? God forbid this actually happens, but if you're a Republican and you decide, oh, well, I'm going to go and just take people's kids, I'm going to go to the school, encourage all the kids to become Christians, and then take them on a field trip to a church and get them all baptized. Yeah. How would you think that kids, leftists would, react to that? That knowing that their kids were, taken from them behind their back and taken to a church to get taught Jesus Christ and get baptized in his name. How would you think that all these leftists would react to that? They will be fuming and calling for all sorts of hate crimes, kidnapping, human trafficking law, crimes to get pushed against those people. But they 100% believe that, hey, we are justified because we're the good guys. We can take your kids, do whatever whatever we want with them, teach them whatever we want with them, and get away with it. Disgusting. No one should be able to do anything with other people's children, right? Unless that parent is exclusively abusing their child. And there's plenty of ways to do so. We already have different departments to go in and say, hey, you're under arrest for abusing your children, right? We have several different organizations that help children who are actually abused. You, as a teacher, do not have a right to teach kids a bunch of ideology nonsense, right? And that's all Ron DeSantis pushed with his Parents' Bill of Rights. He only says that House Bill 1557 just simply says nobody is allowed to walk into a classroom, right? If a Republican walks into a classroom and says, hey, kids, today we're going to learn about why gay marriage is satanic and why, marriage is only between a biological woman and a biological male, right? Guess what? You're fired. You're fired, okay? Under that law, you can't do that. No one is allowed to do that, but yet the left will sit here and lie up and down and say it is a anti-gay bill. It's a don't say gay bill. It's no. Don't tell children what to think when it comes to gender ideology, right? That is only up to their parents to decide. Your job is to only teach kids what you're supposed to, which is science, technology, engineering, math, or literature, reading comprehension, all that other jazz, right? Get out of here with that. But we'll see in the future to see who's actually going to come out on top. But like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you, Patriots, on the battlefield.